All right. What's up, bro?
Yo.
What up, Africans?
Hey.
You did something with your camera. Now it look blurry. It's coming. Now it's coming.
I told you, man. So if I disappear for a second, just give me a second. I'm coming back. The whole internet thing went out twice today. I don't know what's happened. I think it's something with that smoke. I'm stuck in the house because there's a bad air alert. So.
Oh, what you mean? Tornado? What y'all got up here?
Canadian wildfire smoke. So the particulate matter in the air. We were in the red zone. They said we had the worst air quality in the country. And I don't know, the Canadian wildfire smoke is blowing down and then it kind of lingers over Chicago. I don't know why. The city itself, the density of the city holds it in. But it ain't all good.
Damn.
So it's unhealthy weather conditions here. See?
Oh yeah, that's that little website that be telling God.
Yeah. So I have to check the air quality as much as I check the weather forecast.
That's what
I do be masking. I do mask up. I've been wearing masks since I've been wearing masks. I never stopped. Even when Biden cured COVID. I kept going. Anyway, that's my hard times. How you been, Skip?
Man, we good out here, man. Struggling, you know what I'm saying? Learning. Good, man. Gishi, how you?
That's what everybody wants to know. That's what I tried to get up out the way.
Yeah, Gishi been missed, bro. Look at the chat. The chat on fire for Gishi.
Listen, man, I'm trying to live in this motherfucker, bro. I'm trying to live, try to get things in order, make the transitions I need to make. And yeah, that's it.
You know, I had a homie. We grew up together, and we had this group called the Inner City Natives. And I ain't even gonna lie. He was the most talented in the group, most committed. You know, he'd have rehearsals and set up little competitions and performances, and we'd be slacking. And then he got a call from like LaFace Records in Atlanta. And this is back in like the mid 90s, 95, 96. He got a call and they had like this development camp for arts. So he just bounced and went down there. Didn't tell nobody. He kind of disappeared on us for months. But he didn't make the cut. So he came back and was like, "Hey, what's up?" and high five and telling like he never left. So I don't mind, you know. And I embraced him when he came back. It was okay. He tried to make it, and so I don't hold to the rule. You can't leave your hood behind. You can leave your homies behind. You just said you left because you was trying to make it. You was trying to, you know.
What the fuck? No, I said what?
Before.
What did you talk about, bro?
That dude said
he just made some whole shit up and turned.
But what's crazy about it
that's a true story.
Is Gishi really went to Atlanta trying to make it, man?
Right, same city. I didn't even think about Gishi went
what I was trying to make Atlanta
blow up. You tried to do a Jay-Z.
I was trying to be famous.
You're big. You big. Skip. I'm Dame, and he's Jay-Z.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Damn! I might get it started. If I'd have known, if I'm going to Tyler Perry door and be like, "Yo, put me on, shorty."
Right, exactly.
I mean,
we don't want to hold you back, so don't feel obligated, Geechee.
You're right. All right, well, Tyler Perry studio is right across the street, so I might as well just go over there and see what's happening.
But Tyler Perry said he's going all AI now.
I mean, he's spitting out movies like AI, so might as well let's get it.
He said he had an expansion planned. He had
my internet mess up again today?
No, you.
What's Monk's Corner? Where that at?
Monk's Corner. That's in there, Charleston. That's where we from.
Where you are now?
Nah, I just put it down there. I'm in Atlanta.
Hey, the 2 Live Stews?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is happening? I ordered my wife a tea.
Doug actually live in Atlanta now, trying to sell everybody life insurance. Everybody, you want life insurance? I can call him and set it up for you.
So I guess we get started. I mean, my I ordered my wife to bring me a tea, and I don't have it, so but I'll deal with that later.
You ordered.
So let's just get started. Kanye's reversal. I wanted to call it something else.
Did you say you ordered your wife?
Yes.
I done left and y'all got patriarchal. Are y'all okay over here?
Oh,
I done left and y'all got patriarchal.
No, we got
we super patriarchal when they ain't around. You know what I'm saying? We super patriarchal when they ain't around.
Well, I don't have my tea. See, that's what happens. I've been too soft. I've been too buying into all this, new age manhood stuff, and now I sit here with nothing.
I might as well go back to the cast in Atlanta since y'all, chauvinists.
You got their head, boy.
I just want my tea, man. Whatever. But anyway, I'm sitting here dry. Anyway, Kanye, this might be old. Shit moves fast. But Kanye last week said that he's no longer he's given several different statements, but he's accredited who's the little Jewish guy from 21 Drum Street?
Oh, Marky Mark?
No. The chubby little Jewish guy.
Oh, you talking about the guy? What's his name?
He's not really.
Steph? No, okay. Steph Rogan.
I know that. Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill.
There.
Wait, what happened with Jonah Hill and Kanye?
He said that he watched Jonah Hill perform, and he realized, I guess, the humanity of people of the Jewish faith, and made a statement that he's he's no longer going to be anti-Semitic, and that he apologized to everyone he hurt.
Okay.
So did he get an endorsement or a deal or something? Like what?
No, actually, he put out his Heil Hitler song, right? He put out Heil Hitler, and wait. Out the album with the swastika.
Wait, I just look at his Twitter, and is he talking about Trump and Elon right now, calling them bros? Is that what's happening here?
I don't follow him on Twitter.
Bros, please, no. We love both of you so much.
Yeah, that's probably that. See, that's contemporary. I'm talking about last week, Kanye, where he said, I'm done with anti-Semitism. Just don't make no sense. Where he said he's done with anti-Semitism. And the first thing I had asked is he going to apologize specifically to the Black community? Because I think he's taken more and done more harm to the Black community than to the Jewish community, in my assessment. But
that's interesting. Like, I'm going to apologize to one group and not the other. And the group that he ain't apologizing to is the one he a part of.
Well, I think, here's the thing about that. When Kanye was being anti-Black years before he was being anti-Semitic, he was being anti-African.
Mm-hmm.
And he wore the White Lives Matter shirt. Mm-hmm. And he actually aligned himself with, hey. Just asked me if I would date 42-year-old dad at my current age. Why would he ask you? To see how much
a famous Black celebrity can never.
Thank you.
Never lose his Black, right? I can't see a famous Black celebrity ever like being shunned by the Black community.
Can you name one? Or canceled? The word is canceled now. I got my tea, so.
I mean, hell, even R. Kelly ain't all the way canceled.
But we ain't the ones who canceled R. Kelly. The black community knew of R. Kelly's crimes decades before the white majority did. I mean, being here in Chicago, there was literally a Hyde Park High School. There was a McDonald's. He was cruising for young girls at the local middle schools and local high schools back in the 90s.
Just unsanctioned. Ain't nobody did nothing. Nobody said nothing.
Huh?
Ain't nobody said nothing. Unsanctioned. Ain't nobody was talking about what you saying?
I don't see any evidence. It was like a secret, a public secret. So it's really funny. You ever see the trope of a black person runs afoul of the status quo of white folks or Jewish people and gets accused of being homophobic, sexist, or anti-Semitic, and consequences begin to be leveled against that prominent individual. And then the black community rises up and says, well, he's facing consequences for being homophobic. He's facing consequences for being sexist. He's facing consequences. But when he disrespected black people, they said nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Even Kanye, when he was being called anti-Semitic, he complained. He says, well, I can't go on the radio and disparage Jewish people, but the radio plays music that disparages black people. So I can use anti-black slurs, but I can't use anti-Semitic slurs. And there was another artist I'm forgetting, or even
Dave Chappelle made the joke saying the same thing. Like he was saying nigga all day and didn't nobody care. And I just think that's really interesting.
But doing a Uno reverse on that, the question I always come to when that question is presented is, what do we want people to do when we complain like that? What is our ask? Are we asking for that prominent person to be allowed to be anti-Semitic or homophobic, or we're asking them to act on our behalf against their anti-black behavior? I hear the complaint, but what is the remedy that people who make that complaint are seeking?
Well, one of the things that I've said about it in particular is not that I want the dominant culture to do anything about it, but I think it's really interesting that the dominant culture allows criticisms of black folk to exist and occupy space, right? So Dave Chappelle can get on Comedy Central and make anti-black jokes, right? He can get on there and make fun of black people, but he's not allowed to get on there and make fun of Jewish people in the same way. He's not allowed to get on there and make fun of any of the gender expansive and queer people in the same way. And the machine itself stands up and says, hey, you can't do that. But it doesn't stand up and say, hey, you can't do that about black folk. And I just think that's interesting because I don't want the machine sticking up for me. And I recognize that, that the machine sticks up for other groups, not because those other groups are better, but because those other groups aren't black.
Or because those other groups are better organized and more apt to level consequences. It's not, the system doesn't love anyone. It cannibalizes its own. But the system
is it better organized or have closer proximity to whiteness or what?
Well, even with Geechee is buffering.
Because white people ain't that damn organized. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you say that white people aren't organized?
They ain't that organized. All white people ain't that organized. There's things organized for them.
That's the thing. It doesn't take all white people.
No, I agree. Like they have somebody organizing a social order for them, and they well organize it and they reinforce it. But like,
Yeah.
say white people are organized. Is buffering?
Well, you said, Garvey called those people who organize things for them, they're men of big affairs. And he asked the question, where are our men of big affairs? So if I go out here tomorrow, like here in Chicago, there's the Italian American coalitions and Polish American, and we all know Chinatown, which is expanding a little bit. We all see these various communities, and I agree. They're not more organized than us per se. It's just the things that they organize for are very different than what we organize for.
Mm-hmm.
And their standards and requirements are quite different than ours. And things they recognize as problems are things that we tend to not recognize as problems. So I say they're oriented differently, more so than they're organized better. Because we can really get organized and we can really mobilize, but it's generally for not for power and liberation. It's for integration, representation, acceptance, which makes you extremely vulnerable.
But I think also, and I don't remember exactly how you said it, but I think them identifying a problem or doing something about a problem more than we can. I don't know if that's true either. I think like like those weird ass privilege, which again we wouldn't use it. Those privilege exercise where like 2 steps back and 4 steps back, whatever. Like they have space and opportunity and resources readily at their disposal, even if intellectual or emotional resources, to actually do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't.
Well, I
mean, what I say, black people either wait, they either don't or they believe they can't or don't. So you can't say menticide has happened to us, but then we like, oh, we just don't figure it out. If we're suffering from menticide, then I mean, there's a reason why we're not even being able to identify a particular thing, and they don't have that same thing. So comparing people with menticide and people coked up on whiteness, it's like night and day.
So recognizing and accepting menticide, because when you read Bobby E. Wright, he was highly critical of our behaviors. He did not, when he cultivated and developed and educated us about the state of menticide, he didn't see that as excusing us, or he didn't even say it excused our behaviors. And menticidal behavior is something that he encouraged people to confront and challenge and disrupt and undermine. So
I agree.
It's not appropriate to say, well, we suffer from menticide, therefore everything we do and everything we go through, just call menticide and go home, because hey, we've been afflicted. And so, but in talking in the arena of remedy, because menticide.
But you're not talking remedy if you're comparing though, because I'm talking more to the comparing. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying, well, they do this and we don't do this. And I'm like, well, these are 2 different people. So
am I not responding to a comparison?
From who?
When someone says, when Kanye said slavery was a choice, he didn't lose his shoe contracts. He didn't have dates canceled. He was not condemned by the industry that he had made billions of dollars for. But when he started being overtly anti-Semitic, Adidas broke with him and several other.
But that's 2 different things.
Allow me to finish. Give me a moment, Geechee. Give me a moment. So when people stand up and say, when he dissed us, no consequences. When he dissed them, heavy consequences. So I'm not making the comparison. I'm responding to that comparison.
So tell me this. When Kanye says slavery was a choice, do you think Ray Ray's Sugar Shack is going to pull the endorsements from Kanye?
He doesn't have endorsements from Ray Ray's Sugar Shack.
That's my point. So we don't even have the apparatus to sanction him.
We don't need it. We don't
wait. Watch this. We don't have the apparatus to sanction him. And
Yes,
on
we
top
do.
of that,
Yes, we do.
well, listen. Let me say this. We're not utilizing the apparatus to sanction him. And then half of the people that message rained on them probably believe the shit because they said the same shit. Oh, well, I mean, we just got to have the mindset. It's the mind. If most of the black people in the U.S. or a lot think about mindset, then what Kanye say makes sense to them.
First of all, let me go back to your first Ray Sugar Shack. We have the capacity. I haven't fucked with Kanye West since, Jesus Walks era. He was selling long before slavery was a choice. More than a decade before that, he was selling Confederate flag merch. In the early 2000s, he was selling Confederate flag merch. He was out saying reckless and disrespectful shit about the community, and I left him alone. And we have the capacity to not listen. And talking about ending endorsements, we don't have to end his endorsements. We could just turn his shit off. If I'm in a public venue and they're playing Kanye, I'm not going to be somewhere that still supports Kanye. My children have never worn a pair of Yeezys. And if that's where you are, if that's the street level, and everybody likes to talk about the street, the hood, the community, if we can't touch him on the corporate level, but like you said, when he comes here, every time he comes to this city, it's like Obama's coming to the city, and Obama's another one. But people line the streets for him. There's not been a day I walked out my house that I didn't see at least a dozen black folks wearing Yeezys or some other them ugly ass shoes. So I'm not requiring, demanding, or even interested in talking about what we can't do. We don't have corporate contracts with Yeezy. We don't have this. We don't have that. Dealing with what we do have and do have the potential or capacity to do and fail to do. That's where I start.
Skip.
I mean, I can see both. Not trying to be in the middle, but like it's one of those things when Diallo's like, well, black people are still wearing Kanye's shoes. It's hard to discredit that. Also recognizing that black people wearing Kanye's shoes gives him a level of cool that if black people turned off, it could do some harm. But the problem is that I don't think Diallo's position accounts for is what you were saying, Geechee, is that ultimately, yeah, Adidas was started by a Nazi. And Kanye is making Nazi adjacent comments. And he has the deal, and he gets put on the shows, and he gets put on the magazines. And he gets put on the radio. And he keeps getting platformed by these places and things that are not black. So it makes it hard to be like, how does he lose? So, like I just see, I can respond, I can understand what Diallo is saying, and it just feels weird because, being in Chicago, I'm sure you see a lot more people wearing Yeezys. I don't see that many people wearing Yeezys, but the desire for them still makes them cool.
Or are coming from other black folks who they are trying to support black folks, because by the time it hit the market, I mean the stores, it's already, they're trying to recruit a profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or they might sell them for cheap. Like I feel like that's not I don't know if that's a really good indicator, because let's say, for instance, the shit get whack and then they drop it down to $2 and they give them,
and that's what they have done.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like, because I think when Diallo was talking, I was almost thinking like, you remember when John Johnson was trying to sell Jet and Ebony magazine to white corporations? The thing is, if he was trying to convince them to buy ads, then that mean they didn't need the black dollar, or they didn't need the black consumer. They were still making a profit. So I don't, even if black folks, and maybe you wasn't saying this, but even if black folks don't support Kanye, he's already like Kanye's like his like you make it to that level, it's kind of like he's still gonna sell out records. In fact, he's probably like, I don't think the number's gonna drastically change because black people are not spending hand over fist for concerts and music. They're definitely not spending that
right.
money on music.
And my intent, I care nothing about Kanye, less than nothing. Mm-hmm. My intent is how black people, how the black masses move. So it's not about bankrupting Kanye or even punishing Kanye. To me, this goes to something that's tied to Mentalicide, is racial esteem. And the fact that we and racial esteem ain't got nothing to do with how much money we spend or how much money we can withdraw, boycotting or engaging. It comes about, what do you think your people as a people are worthy of?
Yeah.
You know, and we make a lot of excuses as though black people, and I see so many things that I know for a fact that African people collectively, as small communities or as a group, have the capacity to do, and we fail to do it. You know, and I think the racial esteem, the low racial esteem, is an issue that is born out of Mentalicide. I think it is a symptom of Mentalicide. And if we can't simply rest on the fact that we have Mentalicide, because Bobby E. Wright defined Mentalicide as a prelude to extinction. He said Mentalicide is a condition that you arrive in which the ultimate goal of afflicting people with Mentalicide is the complete extirpation of that people. So if we go around saying, oh yeah, he dissed us and no consequences, we're gonna still buy his shoes because that shit is fly in the hood, and we're gonna still listen to his music and not even employ the level, because you got to be black folks to be cool among black folks is what makes them cool amongst white folks. Yep. And we have that. We can withdraw that, and that shit's for free. In fact, a lot of the consequences we level against people who betray us would save us money. We would gain resources. So it's like, it ain't even about, but beyond that, I think that we stop at Mentalicide when extinction is the ultimate goal and outcome of Mentalicide. So we have to fight it. We can't just say, oh, that's Mentalicide, let's move on. What can you do?
Yeah. But also, like, Geechee doesn't need me to defend him, but I also don't think that's not what I heard him saying, in the same way that I didn't hear you being like, you know, is black people fault. Like, I didn't hear either of those things. I will also say that I think this is a small thing. I also think that there are this wish for racial solidarity is often weaponized against us. Like when Issa Rae is like, oh, I'm rooting for anybody black. I'm rooting for everybody black. Like, I just have fundamental issues with that, and I bring them up all the time. And I think this is one of those instances where we want to be good consumers and show that we're supporting black businesses because we somehow think that, you know, black capitalism is going to trickle down in ways that white capitalism isn't. And yeah, I think that's something that we have to see.
I'm so glad that you said racial solidarity being weaponized, because I am staunchly race first. And at the very time that I fully realize that race is an incomplete and inadequate rally point. And I'm going to just say that again for people that are listening. Race is an incomplete and inadequate rally point. And when Garvey said race first, The fact that he said race first implies that there must be a second, third, or fourth, or fifth. Like, let's say you just met me for the first time, and I say, this is my first wife, and meet my first wife. That implies I have several other wives presently, or there was a wife that preceded her, or there's a wife that follows her. So when you give something a number and an order, that assumes that there's something that precedes or follows. So when Garvey said race first, he was 100% correct. But he didn't say race only, because he could have just said race, So what comes after race? Because for me, before you get my solidarity, it's race and ideology. And I forgot what the third one is. Race, ideology, methodology comes later. But the big three, race, what's I forgot. But race, ideology, come on, y'all. Where the comments at? All right.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say is the same thing.
Class. Sorry.
Yeah, it's H. Rap Brown, right? To be black is necessary, but it's not sufficient.
Right.
And I just think we don't have enough analysis beyond race, because it's something that you said a few episodes ago that I've just been rolling around and I just love, right? It's not because we black, it's because they white. Like, if we were not who we are, the dominant culture will act the way that it acts towards someone else, because that's just where they are as a unit, right? I don't think there is a way to move through just being like, like black people got to stick together. No, we absolutely do not, because I'm not sticking together with Kanye West. Like, no. So when do we move beyond, the first step? Because you say you got three, I forgot your middle one, but race, what in class? Race, ideology,
in class. Really, it goes race first, ideology second, class third. Those are my first three I have to establish before I can feel like I got any solidarity or celebrate any of your triumphs or lament any of your losses.
Like, I don't understand it. Like, so, man, I wish I wouldn't start this, but I'm gonna start it. So, a person in my office. So in Jackson, in Mississippi, there are two prides. It's white people pride, and then it's black people pride. Now, black people pride, I forgot when it is, but white people pride is in June. This person is queer and is telling me, like, it's like happy pride, but they're a black person. So I was like, hey, didn't y'all get mistreated and had to start your own pride shit? Yeah, well, black pride is in this. Well, why are we talking about this other pride? I don't understand. If our pride is not now, why are we talking about pride? It's not our pride. And they were really trying to kind of roll it around and make it make sense. As a queer black person in a city that is overwhelmingly black, still being secondary in pride in this space. So even if we want to say, well, Jackson's super black, so like we can do pride at the same time as the dominant culture. Well, Mississippi is really black, so we can do pride at the same time as the dominant culture. But you still not being accepted into that space, and I don't understand what you don't understand about the reason you're not being accepted. I also don't understand how in a city like Jackson is 80% black. All these people love the police in these bedroom communities.
What's a bedroom community?
The suburbs. Like they ain't really got no mayor and shit. Like,
is most of the police black?
In Jackson, yes.
That's why they love them.
Black.
And this what I don't understand. Y'all don't like the police, like the police in Jackson are incompetent. So you even racist when it comes to police. So I'm so confused why you as a black cop is still talking like you a police officer. You can't be. So while I understand, like we got to get beyond like the initial whatever of race to having some ideology, we also have to completely, like, to get to that point, we have to understand that regardless of what we think about ourselves as a body, we are still 13% of the population in this experience. And them people don't want nothing to do with us. So if you second person plural don't have an investment in yourself being worthy of a thing and people of your community being worthy of a thing, you gonna individualize yourself into always being secondary, tertiary, unwelcome citizen. And I don't understand how we keep arriving at this. Like, I don't understand how we individually think that we are separate from black people. As black people, in spaces that are at best antagonized by racialized capitalism.
Well, then we got to retreat back. That's menticide. It's a menticidal behavior, and for all of the analysis of menticide, people are very uncomfortable talking about the remedies to menticide.
Which is?
If you have a large segment of your population infected with a communicable disease, what's the first step?
Quarantine?
Isolation. First, you have to identify who's afflicted. You have to isolate those populations, and then you
do what with the isolated population?
Ask Mal.
That's fucked up.
What? Listen, like I said, let me button my sweater and be more dignified.
But that's gonna be even worse, because now who get the control of the isolation, and then who got the gun, nigga? Who got the gun? Because if the tetherers, if the tether callers get the gun, then you getting shot too, brother. Because Tariq is putting you down fast.
Listen, you know what? I was talking to my wife the other day, and we were talking about some conditions.
That's part of the problem right there.
Yeah, that's
part of the problem right there.
But you know, a lot of times, well, I just go, there's a quote of Malcolm X where he said, revolution is bloody.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish Malcolm had also informed us that submission is bloodier than revolution. Submission is bloodier than revolution. And if you look at colonialism and oppressive conditions, and I hate, especially Pride Month, quoting Derek Jensen because he's a transphobe, but he did a very detailed research on various atrocities in various states of oppression, colonization, and enslavement. And he basically reached the conclusion that those who actively resisted experienced less losses of land, of life, of identity than those who submitted and tried to negotiate with their oppressors. And so, you know, you literally have Black people who live on the south side of Chicago with daily shootings, mass incarceration. Their children have lead contamination, under-resourced, living in some of the most inhumane and chaotic and dangerous conditions. And I'll go and talk to people about revolution, and they'd be like, no, you want violence. You're calling for violence. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's no different than when I tell Black folks that to be anti-capitalist. I go to a poor Black community that's being exploited by capitalists, and I say, let's do some socialism. They, oh, you against Black, you want Black people to be poor because you don't want us to have banks, but you don't want us to get rich. So the conditions that drive the violence, that drive the poverty, when you begin to dissect them, people are like, oh, you're going to cause us to be where we are.
And what do you do with those people though? Like, so 40% of the population, Black population, believes capitalism is a viable.
Ask Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi gonna politicize them.
Ask Idi Amin.
Idi Amin ain't gonna do none of that.
Pol Pot.
Papa Doc, Baby Doc, Jomo.
You know, I mean, what happens to the Black people in the community? You know, there are Black people that are pro status quo. That
embrace. They think so. They think so.
Fully embrace the status quo. And when Black people want to rebel, and they sit and the Uncle Tom sit amongst each other, what do they do about us? What did Obama do? He didn't let Mumia out, and he signed an increase. He held where he had the full capacity to exonerate Pete O'Neill, exonerate Joanne Chesimard, as they call. I say Joanne Chesimard because a lot of times when people go to look at the government, FBI most wanted list and stuff, they looking for Assata Shakur. Mm-hmm. But in all the government documents, they disrespectfully call her Joanne Chesimard. So you might be like, look, the government ain't still hunting Assata. They still not, but they are, you know. And now that Eric Prince, the mercenary king, he's going into the Caribbean and Haiti, and he has suggested that you send in a SEAL team level squad in to either apprehend or take down Assata. So, I mean, they seem to know well how to handle. We see how long shall they kill our prophets as we stand aside and look. We see how well they deal with Black revolutionaries, but for Black traitors and sellouts, as Farrakhan says, I'll tell you, let me just quote Farrakhan. We should deal with them the way they should do. And I'm not calling for violence because I think that violence is not necessary. The higher our level of cooperation, coordination, and alignment, ideological alignment, the less necessity for rebellion, for violence and violent acts, really. So, but I think what the real answer to your question, Geechee, is the people who do not suffer from menticide need to intensify our actions. That's the real answer.
Mm-hmm. I hear it.
I agree. He didn't have the ability to pardon, but the president is an extremely influential. They call it the bully pulpit. He could have made calls for and appointed judges, even though he had a lot of obstruction from Congress. He appointed judges. He appointed, and the president has power well beyond.
Did y'all already leave Kanye?
Kanye left us.
That's funny.
And am I still breaking up? Because I had a question before we go.
No,
am
go
I
ahead.
still breaking?
No, you sound a lot better now.
So are y'all of the ilk that believes that rap music started off as anti-establishment, like in the 70s, and then they went somewhere else? Like, are y'all saying that's true or confirming?
I have no historical evidence that that's true.
Here's the thing about anti-establishment: in content or function.
That's a good question, and that's important.
Because it was anti-establishment in function, in structure, but it was extremely pro-status quo in content.
Thank you.
So when I say hip-hop started out in the dark, started out in the park. So graffiti, one of the elements of hip-hop, was illegal and still is.
Gotcha.
I recall my own self. We would set out duct tape cardboard and set out in little break dance and battle sessions, and the police would come break that shit up. I remember even when we would go to, in Kansas City, they called it the field house, and we would illegally tap into the electricity.
Mm-hmm.
There were no hip hop clubs, MTV and corporate radio would not play it. So hip hop started as an underground art form of expression. And the corporations and the music industry pretty much predicted that it was a fly-by-night thing, that it had no staying power. But when you listen to the rappers at that time, Busy Bee, the Double Dutch Bus, it was about having fun and dancing. It was not about revolution. Disco music and funk was more politically conscious and politically radical than hip hop.
Funk was.
Funk. I would say disco too.
Funk, calypso, and those other things, but it wasn't here yet.
Calypso, reggae. So, but the content, number one, many of these people, even though they were offspring of children of struggle, byproducts of struggle, and lived in areas that were steeped in struggle, they were all about, people were coming they were rapping about double dutch, they were rapping about roller skating, they were rapping about people who walk funny and have big lips. If you listen to the old Bobby Jimmy and the Critters type shit. So it was anti-establishment in function, but not
so
in
like
content.
So when you say function, it's more so like the social order, but they still have the same objectives of the colonizers. Like they want to get their money, have fun, dance, and have extractive interactions. Nothing generative or revolutionary.
Well, not really back then. I remember going to the early rap clubs. Mainly the first places I went to that would play rap were house parties. They weren't even playing it in the clubs. And I know some clubs, black clubs, that was like, we don't play rap and you can't come in here dressed in street clothes or hip hop clothes. So in the early days of rap, rap was truly an alternative, was considered an alternative art form, like death metal and shit. Like you had the mainstream black music, and then there was this rap stuff that wasn't taken serious. And as far as I know, early on, remember DJ Academic said old school rappers all look dusty?
It's crazy that he says that, but yeah.
Well, the reality is it wasn't seen as a money thing. Like now, if you get a hot song, it's like you got drafted into the pros, into the majors. Like hip hop is seen as something that could lift you up out of poverty, get you and your whole hood up, or get you in your. But when it first came out, being a popular rapper, I mean, you get a lot of love. I mean, look at Roxanne Shante. I think her biographical film is probably one of the best documented of an MC in its inception. And she didn't even perceive it as like, oh, people used to be like, go get a real job to established artists. So when he say they look dusty, it's not because the average middle-aged rapper, old school rapper looks like everybody else. They just wear clothes and they pretty much, I met Ecstasy from Houdini, and he used to work at a downstate, and I met him and I'm like, whoa, it's Ecstasy. But anybody that wasn't around and listening to hip hop in the late 70s, mid to early 80s, probably wouldn't even recognize. In fact, people didn't. I was like, how is this dude just walking up and down the hallway and nobody recognized him? But now, to be a rapper, you're supposed to look luxurious. You're supposed to have all this fly shit. So he was like, they don't look like rappers because they look like regular people. And what he's really saying is regular people look dusty. But I came up when they said Calvin Klein ain't no friend of mine, don't want nobody's name on my behind. Like the luxury clothes, or when Ice Cube, when he first dropped in the 80s, I ride a hoopty, me and my homies riding 10 deep in a hoopty. Now they flying private jets. So
I was trying to read, because I actually don't remember all of the lyrics in Fight the Power, and they ain't said nothing at all. They might have used the word revolutionize something, whatever that means in the context. But even stuff like that, what do you say to the ones who claim that there were some? Because even words like militant don't mean anything, right? So, I mean, it doesn't mean that
era. Let me tell you something. You got to read Kidi Obiawadu's book, Hip Hop in the New World Order. Conscious and revolutionary hip hop was deemed a potential threat to the order. And there were really people listening to that music and taking it to the streets. Now, it may seem not as academic or sophisticated, but 40 years ago, Fight the Power, Black Power Fist, like now everybody just walk around saying it and wear it, even white kids. What really broke my heart, and I stopped listening to Public Enemy for years, is when the Terminator 2 movie came out. And Terminator 2, when it dropped, was the highest grossing movie in the history of modern cinema. Terminator 2 was huge. It was on the par of like The Matrix when it first came out. Biggest box office, biggest awareness. And the protagonist, this little white boy, had on a Public Enemy shirt. Because this little white boy represented the rebellion and the revolution that would resist mankind. And the writers, producers, and directors, fashion designers said, if this little character that is the ultimate revolutionary that's going to save the day, is we going to have him wear a Public Enemy shirt, because that's what Public Enemy represents now. And he's going to represent that in the distant future in the war against the robots. So the social, political impact. And that was around the time I was coming out of high school and going into college. And those times were extremely politically charged. I mean, the Rodney King rebellion, that was a nationwide rebellion. And they were making all kind of, after that came the Newt Gingrich contract with America. And it was a major right-wing surge because white folks were so afraid. And it wasn't just the Rodney King rebellion, but it was the conscious hip hop. Conscious hip hop, I think we don't give it credit. Even though we come to find out a lot of those conscious rappers in their personal lives weren't the people they portrayed on stage, but the music still resonated.
But I'm still confused by that in the same, because there's people who got pushed into conscious rap genre, or that wasn't really conscious rap. So who are you calling the conscious rap group people? Like Dead Prez?
MC who made this is way before. This is like a decade or two before.
Well, who are, like, name a few then? Because I really
Poor Righteous Teachers, Def Jeff, Boogie Down Production, and that whole Sister Harmony. Have you sat and listened to Edutainment?
No.
Have you listened to Ghetto Music, the better blueprint of hip hop? Did you listen to by All Means Necessary?
Nope.
Then don't sit back in your chair when I say Boogie Down Production.
Because I don't remember none of that. Maybe most of the time I wasn't listening to it because my uncles was just scratching it and they was mixing shit, and I ain't really pay attention to the lyrics. But I don't remember.
Even 13 and Good. Go listen to 13 and Good. That book, he literally calls it out in that thing: statutory rape and pedophile and child abuse.
KRS-One,
his mother's first son. And if 13 and Good came out on an album called Sex and Violence. The name of the album was called Sex and Violence, and the entire theme of the album was talking about the decay in society and abuses and predatory behavior in society. So go back and listen to the content of the song. Illegal business controls America, ganja business. Yeah,
I mean, he started off with praising to the creator, so you already don't like that at all. So you would trash the whole song because he started out the song praise the creator, boogie edutainment. He started out with praise the creator, and so you should throw the whole thing away.
Why would I do that?
Ain't revolutionary no more because he said something about praise the creator.
When it first came out, I was a believer. Number one, when it first dropped.
But here's the thing that I want to add,
also in the end of that thing, he said the real holy place is your intellect. Stop looking in a dead book for a live God. The real holy place is mental, is intellect.
And then he wrote a whole damn book, a Bible, his own Bible.
Yeah, that came later. That's KRS-One. Remember, there is a divide between Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One.
Yes.
And if you look, Miss Melody, Mick Boo, and you look at the D-Nice, the people who comprised Boogie Down Production, that wasn't KRS-One functioning independently, even though he was the head of it.
But I think here's the thing that's important to add, right? We're not talking about hip hop because regardless of what we want to think about it now and what it existed as it became co-opted, is black music. So hip hop, it was just the most recent evolution of black people talking shit, right? And I think that when we put it in a different box, we take it away from its lineage, right? Like somebody put in the chat, DJ Kiss put in the chat, Last Poets, Andy William put in Gil Scott Heron, right? Like hip hop is just the newest name given to black music. And black music at its core has always been political. I think once the machine can kind of weaponize it in a way to turn it into some boogie shit, that's what they're gonna do every time. And it still exists in its black music form. So I don't think separating black music of that time period into a different genre does the best thing that we could have it do, because like Gil Scott Heron, Seal Johnson, making songs that have an overly political position in them is just another like brick in the wall that is black music. And I don't know. Like, I think it's weird.
I'm looking for the conscious bar. I can't find it.
In what?
In the edutainment.
Yeah, I think when you
talking about the song or the album?
Oh, I thought you said the song. My bad. That's what I thought you was talking about.
No, that's a whole record
called Edutainment.
Yeah,
this song ain't doing it for me.
Yeah, no, that's a BDP record, Edutainment.
Oh,
I think, yeah, no, because the other piece, I think. Go ahead.
No, you got it.
I think the other piece is that when you start like trying to pull, I think it's bad to isolate anything from its context. So when Diallo is talking about a particular time that I was around for, there was like, we can't talk about Public Enemy without acknowledging that they was on tour with NWA. Like, that is a statement of fact. we can be generous and say Straight Outta Compton had some political leanings in it. We can be really generous and say that. Like, I'm talking about, we're being very generous when we say that.
We're being Santa Claus.
Listen, we're being very generous when we say that. I think it becomes harder and harder to maintain that generosity when Niggas for Life come out, or Evil for Zagging, right? Like, once that happens, like, it's just kind of like whatever. But then when Ice Cube comes out with Death Certificate, lots of foolishness on that record. And still inside the foolishness of that record, you know, the cover is Uncle Sam with a toe tag on it. Like, it was bars in there, but also it's not the job of the artist. Is not the job of the artist to do the research. It's the job. Not hear me. Let me finish. Let me finish. It's not the job of the artist to do the research. It's the job of the intellectual to do the research and be in community with the artist that informs what the artist produces.
Who does your research, Skip?
I'm in there a lot, but I also have you. And not being funny, like, I have you, I have my mentor C-Lee, I have Geechee, now that, like, our relationship is deepening. Okay. Like
go on, stop. I was trying to set a trap for you. Just keep
going. But
no, you did answer the first correct. You do it too. And if you don't have the desire to do it yourself, because you're just as much an intellect as anybody else, then the shit ain't gonna happen.
And I'm not saying you wrong. I'm also saying, though, that James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud. We know what James Brown was, but we also know what he was able to produce because of what was happening during the time.
Was he forced to do it, you saying?
I don't know if he was forced to do it or not. I do know what James Brown politics were, but I know what James Brown politics were, and I know that he made that song, and I know the impact of that song culturally.
But again, just like anything, just like when what I do name is Spike Lee come and capture the energy of Malcolm being brought back up to the surface. And we talk about third parties, get some shit popping, and then the Democrats adopt it. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's kind of how I'm.
And I think all right. So I want to, because this kind of goes back to that, right? No, I'm not giving an artist a pass. I'm absolutely not giving that artist a pass. What I am saying is, sometimes I think we allow, this is exactly what I think. I think sometimes we allow this idea of we're all equal and everybody can do it to put us in the spot where we ultimately lay the foundation for anti-intellectualism. Because what happens is we want to act like everybody get a chance to make a rap song. These niggas don't need to be rapping. Leave that to the experts. In the same way that I don't need to be growing no crops. I'm going to leave that to the experts. I don't need to be birthing no baby. I'm going to leave that to the expert. There are people in our communities that can do multiple things and do those things well. What we keep trying to do is elevate people that don't necessarily do those things well into positions because we want everybody to be there. When y'all get to talking about running miles and being vegan and what vegan dishes are great, I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm not running no miles. I'm not a vegan. And when y'all present it to me, my job is to be honest and actively participate in it and try. Okay. So when Diallo want to get into his bag and talk about the way that things work and bring up a lot of text that I may or may not have read or saw differently, I'm going to respect Diallo in a real way because he do that work. I don't need Diallo trying to help me on the rap side. I don't need that. I'm good.
But he is helping you if he's one of the researchers.
I got bars too.
No, not
absolutely
the bars
not.
No.
Yes, I do.
No. We're not going. We know how to
I'm
do
just holding back so other people can shine.
Well, listen. Stay way back. just
way back.
Yeah, lean back like Fat Joe. So look, I thought about this earlier, and then you made me think about it again, and I need to share. Y'all, none of y'all read Sky Full of Elephants yet, right?
I'm not.
I didn't know I was supposed to.
Well, I didn't know either, but it's a novel, and when I did, it's like there's a lot of shit going on there. So I'm gonna send the PDF to y'all, and I think we should.
Okay.
I ain't read no PDF. I tried that. I got one of those e-readers.
Bro, but you can do the audio. You could turn it into an audio and it'll read it to you.
I'm old school.
It's free. I mean, I ain't gonna buy you a book. You can buy a book. You spending money on new cameras and shit anyway.
Same.
He's stealing money, bro.
I know he is.
Money.
But so the book start off with all of the white people in the United States walking to the nearest body of water and drowning themselves. And so that means stop. So you can't get Amazon deliveries, cars pile up in the road, there's vacant houses, airline change, there's a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, and I'm not going to tell too much, but Sydney is the daughter of Charlie. Charlie was in jail because Charlie and his white girlfriend at the time was getting it in the room. The brother caught them, pulled Charlie out, started beating him up, shoot him, and then call the police and say, he raped my sister. Sydney was like, yeah, he did it because she wanted to appease her brother. So he was locked in jail for the whole time. And then when the white people left the earth, they broke out of jail. But the white woman had a baby named Sydney with Charlie, the really daughter, what happened. But anyway, so the plot twist, the daughter calls Charlie like, yo, I need to go down to Alabama or wherever because I think there's some more white people down there because she's biracial. And the whole time, before you even introduce to Sydney, you're in Charlie's head and knowing about Charlie's situation. And then by the time you get to Sydney and you're reading Sydney, you might get annoyed with Sydney and be like, she's dumb or skip. Like we're responding to Sydney with all of the information that Sydney don't have at the time. Like Sydney's, when she started the story, all she see was her white mama, her white stepdaddy, and two white baby brothers drowned themselves, and she tried to drown herself too, but she couldn't drown with them because her ass ain't white.
Oh wow, okay.
So, but anyway, like I say, people where they at and kind of like I don't know. I know they say trauma inform and all some other stuff, analysis inform. I don't know, but talking to people where they at, I think we do kind of struggle with that. All of us. Where we like, you should be here and this, and y'all ain't here because whatever.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. Yeah, Don Geechee is freezing. You need to catch up. You late to the show.
I'm gonna try with no video. Boom.
Yeah.
See that work better.
Yeah, and I just want to add this part.
Put up that thirst trap picture.
That's what he want to do.
Diallo, I really like when you give me. I like when you give me a compliment. I appreciate that, Diallo.
Yeah, listen,
that shit is, you probably
out here handsome, bro.
You probably give me one compliment every year and a half or so. So I'm gonna take that one, and I'm gonna tell my mama that Diallo called me handsome on live TV.
I said thirst trap.
That's handsome. Well, go ahead.
That's why he answered. So
Yeah.
listen, bro. Like but I don't do well, and I respect anybody that could do the thing that I don't do well at a high level. We all got to work together. I'm not jealous of what Nick can do on the production side. I'm not jealous of it. I think Nick bring out the best in what I got going. I also think that there are incredibly talented people in other ways. Like the way that Diallo can like really make succinct points. The way that like he really Diallo really like consumes so much information and presents it in ways that are like super engaging. Geechee is amazing in community, and more than anything, Geechee, one of your greatest strengths is how patient and kind you are. Like, these are things that I struggle with, but when we in community together, we work together, and we really like bring out the best of each other when we in these relationships, right? What I find super interesting though is that there could be people in this community that instead of wanting to bring whatever their best is to the situation, they want to compete with us. And it's something Diallo said when I first met him. Diallo was like, I mean, you ain't necessarily got to get into a critique of capitalism with everybody. You can say, though, that you think societies function better when they're built on cooperation and not competition. He's spitting. Like, that has informed the way that I move in communities since that interaction. Oh, man, I'm really all about cooperation. Like, I ain't really compete with nobody. The problem be happening, though, is when, because we like Skip a lot, we let Skip be whack, and then that throw everything else off. Because we don't keep a standard. And if I ain't got nothing else, I got a standard. What is the competency of anyone at a particular task? Because if you are not competent, let's find you something that you're competent at. Because you don't get a chance to do this over here.
You weren't brought up in the participation trophy era.
Not giving them.
Yeah, my son, his team finished dead last in a basketball tournament. And he walked out with a trophy that was as big as the winning team. So I'm like, where'd you get that from? And he was like, man, let's get in the car and drive.
Let's do it. Let's
go. Let's just get out of here.
But,
like,
but Jay, like, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. But like, no. We cannot separate art from the artist. You can't eat of a poison tree.
Wait, what? I'm like, let artists wait. And we judge the products afterwards and plus.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
What I read this to be is like, hey, artists go in, they create a thing. When that artist comes out with the thing, we can just look at the thing and then we just judge the thing. No, we have to judge. We have to judge the process that produces the thing.
And KRS-One said,
so what the
author, you don't know what you're reading.
I'm gonna read it for the people who also watch. It says, I'm like, let artists create and we judge the product afterwards, and plus we can separate the art from the artist.
No,
that's like factually wrong in all level.
Yeah, like I just really disagree with that. Cause like ultimately, and this go back to the sinners piece that we were talking about, you know what I'm saying? Ultimately, if you think the art can stand on its own without the artist being what we think the artist ought to be, we gonna get duped. Like we are going to get duped every time. Diallo don't believe in the devil. I do. The devil was the minister of music. I'm not saying evil, but I am saying that when you playing with music, you playing with God, especially the African folks. So nah, like I'm not fucking with that. Like, no. I also just want to add this part. I don't care how much I liked 12 play when I was in the 10th grade. That nigga a pervert. No. And see, this the other thing I hate that y'all do. Bro,
but that don't even mix though. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Did he die in Detroit? He died Detroit Red. He just died Detroit Red.
Thank you.
Like the fact that you call him Malcolm.
Red.
Listen, no. But the fact that you use Malcolm and Detroit Red in the same sentence tells me that if you just only knew Detroit Red, you'd have never known Malcolm. But you know Malcolm, so that means why the fuck you still talking about Detroit Red?
Yeah, and let me tell you something. What appeals to you should also inform you about who you are. You know, I remember
that's a fact.
I was in high school when Grip It on That Other Level came out. And I was working at Wendy's. And I worked the night shift where we closed. And so as soon as we closed down everything, it was mostly high school students. And they'd come out with a little radio player and they put in a cassette and it was Grip It on That Other Level. And I had kind of started like shunning all gangster rap. Like I wanted nothing to do with it. As Del Jones said, anti-African propaganda. And they were playing that shit over and over and over and over and over. And, you know, and I'm like, man, they find this appealing. They found this to be attractive. And, you know, it informed me more about who I was working with and not bad people. You know, some of them people I'm still cool with to this day, but where they were at that time, the level of immaturity. And I revisited that album as an adult and listened to it and tried to like really like what's going on here. Cause I've always liked Willie D. You know, I've always been a fan of Willie D, but everything else, and even Scarface, I've never been a fan, but I've always respected his talent. So I'm like, these are really talented dudes, and they put out some stuff that I know contributed to the delinquency of a lot of people. And that whole Scarface thing, because remember his name was Action. He actually changed, started small time dope gang, cocaine, pushing rocks on the block. I'm never broke, man. And when that shit was dropping, man, the hood tore up. It's like everybody got mad at Chief Keef when his debut album was, no, I think it was his second album was dropping. And he said, when this album dropped, the murder rate in Chicago is going to go up. He's like, when my album dropped, murder rate going up. And everybody condemned and attacked him for that. And I'm like, man, you know, that's probably one of the most honest things he said publicly. You know, instead of talking that bullshit, I'm just talking to him about where I'm from. I'm just trying to let people know where I'm from. That's what the ghetto gangster rapper Ice Cube used to say.
Yeah.
You know, who's I think one of the worst individuals in public life. Ice Cube is the worst. Yeah. But I won't get into that. So yeah, I just all that to say I agree with Skip. You can't separate the artist from the product that they produce, and you can't separate the artist, the product, and the consumer of it. All of y'all in it together. All of y'all to blame. I blame all of y'all for Kanye, not just Kanye for Kanye.
listen, bro, like, because what's crazy to me is I walk through life real, like, I don't know, man. I guess I'm just so old that I guess I'm just so old that, like, I just think there's a level of authenticity that's supposed to come with the thing that you produce. So for me, I like what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm supposed to go out, rap all this I'm for the people shit, and then, like, don't know nobody in my neighborhood, don't know the people in my community, like, don't have relationships with other people. Like, I just don't know. I don't know how I could produce the content I produce, but for living the life that I live. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing for me. Like, I'm really with what I'm with. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. That's a luxury that I don't have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you were doing degenerate antisocial music, we would prefer that you keep it in the studio.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, how do I, like, if I was to be making degenerate social music, I would have to be a social degenerate,
or a dumb down
okay.
my for my audience, so $dollars. Like, there's very, like, even with Jeezy, like, Jeezy pay for his kid to go to school and, like, not living in the city rap about. So, or you would be somebody who's selling a product.
And I kind of disagree with that, though. I think the Del Jones said real gangsters don't wear sneakers. Most of the gangsters and degenerates, pimps, and drug dealers of the world send their children to private schools, and they live in affluent gated communities. We just don't call them gangsters.
Yeah.
Trump is a goddamn 2-bit mob boss. He's a fucking gangster. So I don't see that as the contradiction. The fact that, he was talking all this street stuff. I mean, gangsters are capitalists. Gangsterism is capitalism. So as he leveled up, I don't think that's a contradictory.
But I don't even think he's he's capitalist, though. So the capitalist is the person who is getting him the resources to keep making the type of music. So he's not the capitalist.
Right. He's not the capitalist, but he is an asset.
He's a runner for the gangster.
He's not even the gangster. He's aligned with, and he's an asset, a willing and enthusiastic asset of the capitalist.
Yep. And that's a decision that he got to live with.
And they called them the Pompadour class or the petit bourgeoisie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or what Steve Coakley used to call them, the oath takers. Called them oath takers, like they were the ones who sat on the lap dogs.
Yeah, I mean, it's what Diallo says all the time about, you know, like, African people being more Catholic than the Pope. Like, you really believing in this thing that's a wild decision to make. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that's crazy. Like, I just don't.
Yeah. And listen, I don't think we're gonna have time to get to the topic. We were supposed to be talking about the MAGA Civil War, Trump versus Elon.
Civil Wars. Wow. Go ahead. We got 15 minutes. I got 15.
Yeah, let's go open up the chat. Let's see if Jigan want to come on.
And we can revisit if folks want to. I'll just change the title.
All right, bet.
Questions, comments, criticisms. Let's keep it fast so we can get as many people in. So, you know, let's keep it concise and quick. If anybody wants to jump on live. Thank you to
Don go come on.
Ola
Don
for your contribution. Willie D won't fuck a war. Wow, I didn't know that. I was just listening to that.
Yeah.
I love that song, but Bushwick Bill performs it.
Yep.
Wow.
But yeah, I always thought Willie D. I don't agree with a lot of his positions now, but back then, you know, solid dude. Remind me of my uncles. Geechee, Atlanta gentrification mixed with visible black perceived prosperity. Please explain.
Wait. Atlanta gentrification mixed with visible. Well, why you say visible and perceived? Well, prosperity. No, well, so obviously everybody know that Atlanta has been dubbed the Black Mecca for clownish reasons. And at the same time, it has been the black to white wealth gap. So that's always been a thing. And the Atlanta way has been pretty much the black, they call them the Atlanta urban regime. And they what's the guy named Andy Young probably quote the best quote that it was his job as a mayor to make sure that white people have some of the power and black people have some of the money. So the Atlanta way morphed into black elites selling Atlanta. You Olympics, and then obviously you have a new games coming in right now. So it's actually treading a site of open air prison, right? So tearing down one of the lungs of Atlanta, the Wilani Forest, and adding chemicals and explosive to it, and then obviously the wealth gap. The black wealth should be zero before the pandemic, before 2053. So if you have black people with zero wealth, majority black city, militarized police, you're gonna have a bloody murder scene. So,
okay, Atlanta, but let's. Sorry, R, you're live. Shout out to Q. Thank you for the support. R, question, comment, criticism, or
all right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Let's see if I can get this right. This is something that's kind of been on my mind for a while. Like it started with like seeing somebody talk about like those like attacks on abortion clinics, and it was specifically talking about it as like, sorry, and I'm sorry this is so off topic, but it's just I need to talk to some people who are better than the people around me. It's the start of this point is like the way it's talked about. The person in question was mostly using like references to like, I guess what I'd call liberal, like liberal sources. And the thing that kind of, huh? Sorry,
I'm not following you.
Oh
yeah, bro. Like you like I don't really know what you're talking about, fam.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe if you're having trouble, maybe you can type.
write it down. Yeah.
Comment.
Like my mic is being bad.
No, like what you're saying, like you know that Gil Scott line where he be like, I know what each of the words that you saying mean individually, but I have no idea what they mean when you put them in that order.
So I'm making no sense. Okay. I'll write it down for next time, but or I don't know. I'll try to be better. But I guess to try to just quickly get to the center of the consideration is like the limitations of liberal media as it pertains to like actually informing oneself to like the issues.
That's some cohesion. I appreciate that. I can respond to that. First of all, when you look at the term liberal, I think the terms liberal get thrown around. So We have no liberal media in the United States. There's no, what you're referring to is the corporate media.
Yeah.
The corporate media exists to generate profit. When you look at the term liberal, like we misidentify liberal media, and what liberal media is actually anti-Republican or media that's critical of the Republicans. And anybody that has any criticisms, no matter what else, they could be endorsing Israel and justifying genocide. They can be running commercials from Amazon and Nestle and all these other pernicious corporations. But if they say, well, Trump, if they run a story on Trump's scandal, some other scandal from the White House, then they're liberal media. So first of all, you're looking at corporate media. There is some independent progressive media out there, but they do not get corporate sponsorship. So you're looking at corporate for-profit media, and just like when you go in the grocery store and there's 1,001 items in the store, but there's only about 5 or 6 multinational corporations that own all of that, it's the same thing. If you go watch Fox News and you pay less attention to the absurd storylines and you pay more attention to the commercials, the same pharmaceutical commercials on both damn channels.
Yep.
They play both ends. If you look at the DNC and RNC and their funding, Pepsi gives money to both sides. You know, so and even Trump, before he ran for office, was a major political donor to the Democrats. So the thing you have to understand is that when you complain about the liberal media, you're literally complaining about a ghost, an entity, a propaganda term.
It's the illusion of choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I think Diallo has done a really good job of showing you how the Democrats and Republicans are very different, but they're still in the same book. And what we're trying to do is get out of that book.
Is that it? Did we get? They're gonna be.
I can't believe Don ain't coming on.
Don ain't coming on.
Somebody, you told Don he was late.
Yeah, I did. I told Don he was late. Like, Don come walking in here 45 minutes late.
Right. So I think he's
typing in all caps in the chat. You know what I'm saying?
Seer, you know, sir, sir, his name is Sir LeBur. Sir states that I think that the men of big affairs among white people organize for the destruction and domination of other groups, whereas we've been organizing for coexistence and assimilation for a while. You know, and yeah, I've said before, which I don't like to say so much because it can be misconstrued, but I say, you know, nothing that African people have been organized and willing to fight for has ever been denied us. And our problem is that we fight for the wrong shit.
Mm-hmm.
So true. And, you know, you cannot negotiate with a conqueror.
At all.
And the only solution to an imperialist, and they've said to us, we operate off of the value system of mutually assured destruction. We only give any level of respect and consideration to people who have equal or greater capacity to harm us as we do them. If your capacity and will to harm us is not equal to and greater than our capacity and will to harm you, then we're going to dominate and roll over you.
Yep.
So before you can even sit down at the negotiating table, you got to come with equal or greater capacity to will to damage them as they do you.
Yep.
And we refuse. We absolutely secure the bag, secure the vote. We do everything except the reality that they've told us and demonstrated to us for centuries.
They have no interest in getting along.
I don't like this last one.
All right.
I don't like this line. I know that goes back to black people are not a monolith. It doesn't matter what you are, because we are all in the same condition. So if we're all under chattel slavery, you know, and you like cornflakes and I like fruity pebbles, you know, where there is a universal black commonality, oppression and genocide. And you find a black person on planet Earth that's exempt from oppression, genocide, and ecocide. You find a black person on this planet that's exempt from white hegemony and capitalism, then I can talk about the diversity amongst black folks. So I know black people are very different and have very, very different tastes. I know my tastes are far superior to most other black folks, and I have different tastes, oat milk lattes and such. But that doesn't mean that I am free or exempt from everything. So the monolithic component is not about us as in being the same as individuals, but the conditions and the challenges we face are monolithic. And the diversity amongst black people is an asset once we realize we need to subvert capitalism and global white hegemony.
What good questions we skip, MA?
Yeah, I've skipped all of them. They're too hard. They're too penetrating and powerful. We can never.
We waiting for Brittany to come on. Once Brittany come on, we out of here. Come on, Brittany.
Brittany don't never come on. She don't care nothing about us.
Oh, did I mention that Sir is coming with is going to be doing a Pan-African revolutionary show dealing with comics, science fiction, pop culture, and things of that nature, coming to African World Order channel.
We got Roman in the queue.
Roman, okay.
Yep.
Okay, this is the last one, and then we out. Roman, question, comment, criticism?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, hope y'all guys are doing good. My only question is pertaining to the title of y'all's video. What should we as Black people be taking away from this Trump, Elon Musk public meltdown? Is there anything we could benefit from it, or should we just kind of mock and laugh and just kind of keep pushing ourselves, doing what we be doing? That's it.
I mean, I think one could go. Oh, my bad. No, I'm saying. No, go ahead. Maybe I'm delayed. Go. No, I would say that obviously that these folks have been in arguments all the time, like Democrats against Democrats, Republicans against Republicans. So I don't think it's nothing more than clowns arguing. So I don't know what you got to take away from it other than they be arguing about methods of domination.
Yeah, I think one thing we have to take away from, which I think is eroding quicker than I expected, is that white unity is a myth. And unity is not a prerequisite for power. We often hear black folks, black people don't stick together, we don't get along, we can't fight and criticize each other, or else we won't ever come to power, or that means we're unworthy of power. So the myth of white unity, that these people can go into severe internal conflict, whether it's two powerful individuals or all European powers going into a World War I, II, and III. So we can learn from our enemies that when your interest and your core ideology is grounded, internal conflict does not necessarily weaken your stance. So that's why we need a worldview and a social theory, as Bobby E. Wright implored us to develop a Pan-African revolutionary worldview and social theories. And then we can go publicly or privately beat the hell out of each other and still be moving towards the goal of securing power and reducing our vulnerabilities to our enemies. But on a political arena, public policy arena, that's a whole nother discussion, but that's in the broader sense of what we can learn from watching those two, as he said, two clowns clown around.
All right. Well, thanks for answering. Hope y'all have a good night.
All right, Skip, you want to close us out?
Hey, man.
And send out some. I'm sorry for interrupting. Send out some vibrations. James is going through it. He's lost someone very dear to him, and so let's have some reflection and contemplation, or reach out to James if you have contact with him. Let him know we're thinking about.
Thank you. Thank you for our health, our safety, a community that loves us, a community that we love. Our brother James is in the midst of a human experience. Give him peace, give him comfort. Allow people that love him to show up for him in ways that he didn't know that he needed. As we learn and grow from this experience, draw us closer together so that we can be greater. Thank you. Amen.
You talking on mute, Diallo.
Oh, Ashe.
Ashe.
Appreciate y'all. Until next time.
Hey, right on to the real.
All right. Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all.